Hello students, welcome to this Frames 5 video tutorial on Fire Part 6. Please open Frames 5 from your application screen and please open your Fire project file. Alright, in the previous tutorial we introduced a new element to our flame, to our flickering flame, and that is the marshmallow, the cooking marshmallow. So what we've done is in the timeline, I've clicked on the last frame where we've got the marshmallow. And I left 6 or 7 frames to show us pulling the marshmallow out of the fire. All right, so remember to be on the frame, the last frame where we have our marshmallow. So let's click on the marshmallow and let's hold Control and let's click on the stick. Now this time I do want you to group these elements together. Okay. Let's click on the next, let's click copy, click copy. Let's click on the next frame over and let's click paste. All right, what I want to do is I want to go up to the view menu, the pull down menu, and let's use the onion skin again. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show us pulling this marshmallow out of the fire. So let's use this rotate tool, this little ball at the top of our object. So what I want to do is I want to slightly rotate it like that. You can see the onion skin shows the initial position of where the marshmallow was. Okay, so let's click copy. Let's click on the next frame and let's click paste. So I want to do it again. I want to rotate it kind of a similar way, and then I might actually start pulling it to the left. Now I don't have many frames to do that, but that's okay. Let's click copy. Let's click on the next frame. Let's click paste. Let's continue to rotate and let's continue to move slightly upwards. So normally we don't really pull the marshmallow towards us, we pull it upwards so that it no longer burns. Okay, let's click copy. I've got a few frames left to continue this motion. I'm going to click on the next frame and I'm going to click paste. I'm going to rotate it a little bit more and pull it more towards the, now I can see that the marshmallow, part of the marshmallow is actually off of the frame, and that's okay. Let's copy. Let's click on the next frame. Let's click paste. And now I'm not going to bother rotating, I'm just going to continue moving it off the frame. And one more copy for me. I'm going to copy and click on the next frame and then click paste. And by now I should have most of the marshmallow. Actually, I could rotate it a little bit. Well, I've lost the rotate tool, so I'll just continue to push more of it off of the frame. Okay, now I've run out of frames. You may have 1 or 2 more frames to go. It's completely up to you. Okay? All right, I'm going to go up to view and I'm going to turn off the onion skin. And I'm going to deselect and I'm going to go to File, Save. All right, so let's see what we've done. So in the timeline, I'm going to use my slider and go all the way back to the beginning of my animation. I'm going to click on frame 1 and I'm going to click play. So what you're looking for is you're looking for a nice smooth movement of that marshmallow. You'll also see the marshmallow cooking. That gradient shows the cooking starting from the bottom of the marshmallow and moving upwards. It actually looked pretty good. Okay, so now in your timeline, I want you to find the spot kind of in the middle of where the marshmallow is cooking. So actually, what I'm looking for is kind of where your gradient kind of is in the middle. Now again, there's no right answer here. We want to leave enough frames to show some burning. So right in the middle of your animation should be fine. Now how do you find the middle of your animation? Well, you can use the slider bar at the bottom and position it in the middle where you have an equal distance of white on the left hand side from the left edge to the left edge of your slider, and then from the right edge of your slider to the right edge of your screen. And then you can just randomly pick a frame somewhere near the middle. Okay? If you want to go slightly more to the right of middle, that's fine. Okay, so I've got a number of slides or frames to deal with here. Okay, so we get to actually use the pencil tool again. So what we want to do is let's go up to the pencil tool. The stroke we're going to keep as brown. And then for the fill, we want to definitely click in the fill. And what we want to do is we want to try to find a similar shade of brown. If you can find the exact shade of brown, that would be best. So I'm going to try to match it up here. I think it's this one. Okay, now if you find that they're slightly different, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what we're going to do is on this frame here, the frame that I picked that's somewhat in the middle of my animation, I'm going to start drawing some random cooking marks or burn marks, if you will. So this is kind of what I had in mind. So it's going to happen near the bottom first. So I'm just using my pencil and I'm just going to create like a random splotch or a blob here that's going to fill in. Okay? Now, because I've chosen the same brown as the outline of the marshmallow, it actually worked really well. If you find that the colors aren't matching, you can undo it and then you can reset the colors. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a cooking mark there, and then I'll put another one here. Now remember, you've got to close your shape up so that it fills in with color. Okay. So let's go to the next frame. Okay. Now remember, you got to locate the frame that you're on. In the timeline, it is highlighted in blue. So now I can click on the next frame. I can turn on the onion skin so I can see where the previous marks were. Because what's going to happen is the longer I leave the marshmallow over the flame, that burn mark or that cooking mark is going to grow. So that's why the onion skin is very important here. So now what I'll do is I will expand that cooking mark here and maybe join it with this mark over here. Like that. Now, if you want to get a true sense of what it looks like, turn off your onion skin. Okay? So now I've got almost the bottom all cooked. Okay. So let's move on to the next frame. Let's do the same thing. Let's turn on the onion skin and let's increase that cooking mark or that burn mark, if you will. Okay, so now going to have a larger area of the marshmallow cooked. You can go to view, turn off the onion skin and have a look at it. Okay, you might also feel that maybe there will be a spot over here that can start cooking as well. Okay, all right, let's click on the next frame over. Let's do the same thing. Let's go to view. Let's turn on the onion skin. And again, we never really leave it long enough over the flame so that the entire thing is black. Well, maybe that's the way you like it, which is fine, so that you can have most of this marshmallow showing a cooking mark. Let's go to view, turn off the onion skin. Okay. So I've got a few more to go here before I start pulling that marshmallow off. So let's click on the next one. Let's go to view, onion skin. And I'm not going to grow it too much, but I'm going to show that it is getting a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to view, turn on the onion skin. Okay. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can have another splotch over here. It's up to you. So I'm going to continue working through my frames the same way. Now personally, I've only had a chance to cook marshmallows over a fire a few times in my life, but I actually don't like it being cooked or burned that much. I like to have most of it white. But again, I think if you're going to go to the trouble of having an open flame and getting marshmallows out. I think most people prefer it to have that kind of cooked brown layer on the outside. All right, I'm going to keep going. Now again, if you understand what I'm doing, you can get ahead of me, and then we can kind of compare our diagrams at the end. Okay. Now once you start pulling the marshmallow away from the flame, then it doesn't really cook anymore, does it? And because the position of the marshmallow has changed, the onion skin is not really going to be very helpful. So I'm not even going to use it here, and I'm just going to approximate the shape that it was in the previous frame, where most of this marshmallow is brown and cooked. There we go. And I'm going to try to keep that shape consistent for the remainder of the frames. Because like I said, as we push it away or pull it away from the flame, it's really no longer cooking because it's no longer over the flame. Now don't worry if you kind of go outside of the square that makes up the marshmallow. That also happens, is that the longer you leave it over fire, it starts to lose its shape. It gets gooey, doesn't it? Okay, I've got a few more frames to go. Again, I'm not that worried about keeping a straight edge. It's okay if it's puffy in certain areas. That's exactly how a marshmallow looks. And I've got a few more to go. Almost done. Okay. And I've got two more to go here, where because I'm pulling the marshmallow almost entirely off the screen, most of the marshmallow that's remaining is going to have that brown cooked area over it. And then finally, the last frame, it's essentially all going to be brown. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're almost done. We're going to add a little bit more realism here. Okay, I'm going to go back to the frame where I started showing where the marshmallow was cooking. So that's this frame right here, somewhere in the middle of your animation. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to advance a bit. I'm going to fast forward a few frames to a point where most of the marshmallow is showing that cooking area. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to paint over some burn marks. So I'm going to change the stroke color to black, and I'm going to change the fill color to black or a very dark gray. And then what you want to do is you just want to show some areas that are starting to burn. So for the first one, that area is not going to be very big. Now what I did was I chose a different fill color, slightly lighter than the outside fill color. You might think that's a good idea, or you might not like it. So I actually don't like it. I'm going to undo, and I'm going to change the fill color to black, to just solid black, so that it matches the outline color. And then I'm going to create a little burn mark here. There we go. And then I'm going to go on to the next frame, and I'm going to expand that burn mark, or maybe make another burn mark. Okay, maybe over here where this area got a little bit burnt. There we go. And then I don't want the burn marks to expand too much because, well, if you're especially like me, you don't really like burnt marshmallow. So I would have pulled the marshmallow off of the fire before it got completely burnt. But if you like yours all black on the outside, then your burn mark is going to expand much quicker than mine does. So what I can do is I can attach two burn marks like this. Okay? And then finally, as I'm pulling it off of the flame, the burn mark probably is not growing that much. And again, by this point, probably not spreading too much. So trying to have a similar shape, but it doesn't have to be exact. And then by here, okay. And then the last one here, I'll put a little black mark. here. Okay. So you got to have a look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here. I'm going to find the frame where I started showing the cooking marks. And then I'm going to press play. And I'm going to make sure that those cooking marks, it makes sense that that is expanding in that area. Okay. So let's have a look at the whole animation. Probably a good time to save. So let's go to File, Save. And I'm going to click on frame 1. And I'm going to press play. It's pretty good. So what we did was we took a standard kind of flickering flame and then we added another element to it. So we're always in animation, we're always building elements together. Now, if you use the file that you created last year, then what I want you to do is I want you to update your student number. Okay? So this concludes this year's animation project on fire. Please save your work and call Mr. Ueda over to show him your completed animation. Thanks for watching. Bye.